I'm a fan of new technology. If that technology can genuinely be utilized to benefit customers, people who use a certain platform or service, to make employees' lives easier and to make development cycles better, as long as there isn't a compromise to those disciplines and professions or to better art like video games. But when new technology arrives that we know will be exploited for corporate agendas, that's when lines are drawn for me. That's why I'm so against NFTs and blockchain. The tech is interesting and could potentially be used in beneficial ways. So far, I've yet to hear a good use case. And then there's AI, which on one hand could potentially pave the road to making certain processes more intuitive and just making things easier in certain ways, and can genuinely be used as an assistant, as a tool to better certain processes and certain developments. But on the other hand, I think AI will pave the road to corporations taking shortcuts, engaging in ways that I think will ultimately be detrimental to art, especially where gaming is concerned. And that's the concern for me when I read a headline like this. Ubisoft is developing an AI tool that aims to support scriptwriters. Ubisoft Ghostwriter, as it's known, will generate NPC phrases and sounds. So this is something that Ubisoft announced via a video that they uploaded on YouTube just a couple hours ago. And it reads right here, Ubisoft is developing an AI ghostwriter to save scriptwriters time. The likes to dislikes ratio kind of already shows the kind of bad feeling that people have about all of this, because Ubisoft has a track record of presenting negative elements as if it's beneficial for players or for developers or whatever. You know, the way they present microtransactions as time savers, when what they are actually frustration mitigators. They intentionally make a game to be more frustrating than it should be, and then allow you to buy the solution to the intentionally introduced problems with the game. When it comes to NFTs, Ubisoft touted how this is going to change the landscape of gaming and allow people to own unique items and whatever, but the implementation was just really tame, and nobody really saw the benefit of it, other than Ubisoft clearly wants to normalize a landscape where they're able to monetize more than they are already doing right now, to come up with new monetization avenues. And now with AI, Ubisoft is trying to present this as a tool to save scriptwriters time. This is for the benefit of scriptwriters, for our workers. But what this spells to me is a future where Ubisoft will gradually try to replace certain jobs with AI entirely. Again, I've said before, I think AI could, with certain lines drawn, with certain regulations in place, and with if it's utilized morally, can be a useful tool. And I'm not saying it's not worth exploring, but so much of AI right now has been a compilation of stolen work. In terms of the creativity of Ubisoft games, people have already pointed out how stale these games feel. And to now introduce this element where the foundation of scripts and of dialogue will be set by AI, for then the scriptwriters to come and refine. To me, this feels like a first step for Ubisoft to attempt to transition into more AI-based processes that will allow certain talents to be replaced by AI, so that they can begin cutting costs. When it comes to implementations like this, corporations are looking for ways to make more money or to save money and to make their profit margins look better. They're not really looking, I think, to leverage this technology to help professions. If you ask me, it's not out of the question that a corporation like Ubisoft will try to cut corners through AI. And I think that's just going to pave the road to dialogue potentially feeling more soulless as AI begins to overtake human work that has soul and breeds a certain level of humanity, because one thing that machines just cannot replicate is the life experiences of people who utilize that experience to bring their own unique voice and identity to a certain art that they are invested in. Script writing certainly is an art within itself. Now, before I delve further into this, let's actually take a look at what Ubisoft has to say about this AI ghostwriter thing that they're planning to normalize. This is a 1.5-minute video. Here we go.
The chatter of crowds and triggered NPC lines, known as barks, are essential to player immersion.
Mercenaries patrolling the street.
Get the f*** over here.
And behind every line of speech is a narrative team that writes it. Ghostwriter is an in-house AI tool created by Ubisoft Lavoie. It helps narrative designers and scriptwriters generate a first draft of these barks. Scriptwriters first create a character and a variable input, an event or situation for a character to experience. Ghostwriter can then generate new versions of the line depending on the mode selected. These modes vary in style depending on the needs of the scriptwriter. The scriptwriter selects the lines to keep and edits them freely until they're ready for voice recording. When scriptwriters accept or regenerate line options, the machine learning model learns from each selection, effectively creating a more accurate tool with use. Ghostwriter was created hand-in-hand with narrative teams to help them complete a repetitive task more quickly and effectively, giving them more time and creative freedom to work on the game's narrative, characters, and cutscenes.
I missed you, brother.
And ensuring players encounter NPCs that are interesting, consistent, and just chatty enough.
On one hand, I don't know. I'd have to hear from scriptwriters first. I'd be very curious to hear what their take on this is. On one hand, maybe there is potential for a tool like this to just make their lives easier, but my fear is that this is just the start, that Ubisoft will keep pushing this further and eventually just decide that they don't need scriptwriters anymore, or they'll need a lot less scriptwriters, and the profession of scriptwriting will become less viable. And instead of the foundation being human elements that then maybe AI can be used as a tool to potentially enhance elements, it feels like AI is the foundation and then humans are coming in to refine what the AI has generated. It's just, how far is a company like Ubisoft going to take this? We've seen how far they've taken microtransactions, how much they've pushed that goalpost to be more and more egregious, because as long as it's not illegal, as long as it skirts the line of legality, they'll push as far as they need to push to maximize the revenue that can be generated from these kinds of new technologies, even if they're morally questionable or are used in an exploitative way. Can I trust that Ubisoft won't take AI too far, removing more and more of the humanity that gives games a unique identity that comes from the contributions of unique individuals that shape a team? Scrolling down through the comments section, you'll find plenty of disapproval. The likes to dislikes ratio already says a lot, but then you got folks saying things like, Ubisoft excels at the only thing they are not bad at, making bad decisions. Congratulations. In other words, we're slowly replacing hardworking individuals with an AI that randomly generates dialogue. It all sounds good in theory, using an AI as an assist tool to create background flavor text so more time can be devoted to story essential scripts. But let's not kid ourselves. You all know that it's not going to end there. If anything, this is the first sign that it's only a matter of time until Ubisoft, heck, the entire entertainment industry, replace writers with AI, because of course they will. Again, the technology itself, if utilized in an appropriate way, can be genuinely useful, but these are corporations we're talking about. You can trust them about as far as you can throw them. For them, there's nothing that matters more than financial results and showing investors that they can keep growing infinitely, an unsustainable model that they're trying to retain by coming up with new schemes, new cons like NFTs, Web3, and blockchain, and trying to exploit those to try to find new business models that will revitalize ways to keep that growth going. And then with AI, they're just trying to streamline elements within their corporation so that they have to spend less money and use automation tools. And we've seen how automation has negatively impacted many professions. And if you think a corporation like Ubisoft won't take the first chance to do the same, then you haven't been paying attention, because this is just what corporations do. It's the lack of trust in how the technology will be utilized in the long-term future. That's where the concerns are. So many games in recent memory do feel so soulless, even coming from these major AAA publishers and developers, because you can tell the intent behind them isn't to push the boundaries of creativity or to make the best, most fun game. It's to find a way to monetize them and to reach maximum revenue potential. That on its own is starting to make games feel more soulless. And now we're going to add AI into the equation, and we're going to trust that corporations will be moral about the way that's utilized, and that they're not going to compromise creativity for the sake of just cutting costs through AI. That is just such an unrealistic hope. Corporations are not altruistic. Some people in the comments are joking about how this is essentially finding a way to make NPCs even more robotic than they already are. It just feels like this over-reliance on AI will make it less likely that we're going to feel a certain level of handcraftedness to the dialogue. You know, when we get so complacent with automation, suddenly everything starts to become a bit monotonous. You lose just a little bit of that extra care that you place in a creative outlet. And to me, this framing of this is just a tool to assist our workers. Since when have corporations given a flying fuck about their employees? I mean, we have seen the way Ubisoft has tried to bury the toxic workplace controversy under the carpet, and the way they've tried to just ride out the backlash and have not done enough to make employees feel like they're in a safer and more productive and less strenuous, less abusive work environment. A lot of workers still have issues with how Ubisoft is run with Yves Guillemot's leadership. Executives don't care about their employees on the most basic humane level, and so how can we expect that these kinds of AI tools are there to genuinely assist their employees and their developers instead of for long-term schemes that will further corporate agendas and benefit them financially? What begins as seemingly something innocent and low-key, I fear will evolve into something that will be normalized in a morally questionable way. This has happened time and again, and I'm not about to trust that suddenly corporations will grow a heart. I fear for the future of gaming with AI seeping into this landscape because it's such a powerful tool, and when corporations are given power, they seldom tend to utilize that power altruistically. And Ubisoft leadership having shown time and again just how much altruism they're lacking, I expect that this stuff will, in the long term, end up screwing a lot of people over. But that's just one man's take. Only time will tell what the future holds. This is all my own speculation, but I don't think it's unreasonable speculation given the track record of companies like Ubisoft. I have a bad feeling about all of this. But let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Ubisoft pushing to begin implementing AI in their development and creative processes, and what kind of impact you think it'll have on the future of Ubisoft titles and the development cycles of these games. Share your thoughts below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.